projects that use co-creation in citizen innovation projects, and some of you had your hands in that just yesterday. And she has developed many, many projects at both a Spanish and European level. So Laia, thank you very much.
Yes, just to start, I'm very happy to be here with you guys today. It's an honor for me. I also want to thank you to Susan and Tanya for this opportunity, and for my colleagues, which I learned so much during these days also like many of you that have participated. Also to the Goethe-Institut and the BACC. So I'm going to start. So I want to explain you a little bit where I come from and what is this idea of the citizen laboratories, and some of the ways, how we had the opportunity to try to activate, to spark, to foster, to enrich the innovation ecosystems, and how important we consider that. So I'll go for that. This is where I come from, is Barcelona. You can see this red dot is where the City Lab is. It's in the edge, near the river of the Llobregat. So we are in a city that is metropolitan area of Barcelona, and the City Lab is near the edge of this city. So we are in the edge of this metropolitan area in this side of the city of Barcelona, which means that we are not in the downtown. We are in a neighborhood. We are in a neighborhood who is mostly of workers. So this is the context for the City Lab. And as maybe it happens to you when someone comes to the City Lab, which is in a normal neighborhood, and we tell them that we are in a city laboratory, most of the times they do not know what a citizen laboratory is. So many people understand perfectly what a citizen is, or what a laboratory is, but when you bring those concepts together, then things get complicated. But I'm going to try today to be as clear as I can for you to understand it. This slide shows a little bit our organization. We have 4 areas in the City Lab. I'm the head of the laboratory, but we have also the educational area. We also have a labor area, so that works about unemployment and different new profiles of professions that we can innovate in. And the Think Lab has to do with how to transfer the knowledge that we get and think in new forms and doing that. So for the Think Lab, it's very important to reflect and to debate, and also to transfer what we do in the citizen laboratories. And for the EduLab, what is most important is to understand that technology can be used for a critical and creative thinking. So this is technology that can be applied to work, but it can be a transversal skill that you can use in any field you like, from art to social sciences to bioscience to any. So it's a transversal competence that everybody needs in our society now, as we are surrounded by technologies. And for the Labor Lab, I want to share with you one problem that we have in Spain. We have 50% of unemployment of young people. So that's why for us, education and the unemployment and the work field are so important. So we work from problems. So here we have one. So that's why we are thinking about on how to find new profiles, new types of professions and jobs. And I think that urban media art is also opening up a possibility in this thinking in this sense. So we are always interested in things that are new in this sense, like Internet of Things, drones, but urban media art is also something that, as Tanya has been showing up, has a lot of relevance nowadays. So in the collaboratory where I work is like to build relations. And it's very important for me to build relations over time. So when we think about the city as an ecosystem, or a region, a territory as an ecosystem, I really like to focus as much as I can on how important it is to think in long term. We are very used to think short term, but relations are not built short term. Of course, you can have a one-night stand, but this is not commitment, it's not engagement. So what we need to work with an ecosystem, if we are city managers, or if we are an organization, or even if we are a freelance, we need to make our relations last through time and to create trust among the stakeholders, partners that we find in our way. So we think on participation, and we work on participatory processes, and we also search for co-responsibility of citizens with is around us. So we can delegate the responsibility to the governments, but we can also be part of the solutions of the things that matter to us and affect us. And that's what we want to promote from the City Lab, to activate citizens to be active in solving the things that they care, or being part of processes, collaborative processes of things that they are affected by. So we work with many types of citizens, but one of the things that we do here you can see the first floor of the City Lab, and we have a floor full of tables. We work with, any citizen that come to the City Lab can have become a City Labber who is in our ecosystem, because we want to build a relation with them, and we want to build a relation to do things with them. Which kind of things? A urban media campaign could be one, but could be, for us in the City Lab, each problem is the opportunity to build a project. And always we need to go to the ecosystem to look who's affected by this problem and who can be part of this solution. So that's why open innovation ecosystems, following this open infrastructure, the internet is this structure of being open, we can share things that we have to build something with another. So it's not maybe our main work, but at some point of our career, of our work, of our daily life, we can share a little bit of our time to be part of a co-creation process, a participatory process, because we think that it's important at some point. So social innovation is the step after open innovation that we are interested in. So the problems that our society have. And citizen innovation is important because we really believe that citizens can be part of these innovation processes and should. So there are 7 areas described typically in social innovation, and we like to add culture in it. As culture is linked to the society, it shouldn't be a part. I don't agree relegating artists as in a less relevant position in the solution of the problems that we have. I think that they are as much as important as engineers or other type of scientists, because the research, the inquiry that art provides can be also very useful. And also cultural popular, folk popular culture. It also means that people and their forms of expression can bring solutions to our problems as a society. So let's go to see a little bit how we do it in more detail. We have different tools and methods, and today I'm gonna focus mostly in the 3H, but also are important the competences for innovation, which means that maybe you don't know how to innovate, but you can learn. That's how we can build universal innovation systems. Teaching and promoting processes in which we can learn to innovate. And also the computational thinking as a basic skill for everybody. We really believe that from schools, we need to learn as a third language computational thinking. It is possible, and we need it, because if not, we are programmed by others. And as it is possible, and we have proved it in the City Lab, and there is this big movement all around the world on teaching kids to program, but it's not just to program, it's to be creative in any of the fields, because technology is a creative skill that is transversal. So let's have a deeper look on how we use these 3H. The 3H comes from a human metaphor. It's the head, the heart, and the hands. It comes from pedagogical disciplines and societal, from a theoretician, this 3H. And we apply it to Prestasolli. Prestasolli is the name of the theorist that he came up with this concept in education. As kids, he was proposing learns with the head, with the heart, and with the hands to be an holistic education. We use this approach to work in innovation ecosystems, in open innovation ecosystems. I'm going to explain how. Here you have some pictures of the mapping that we did with future diversities in Kuopio. It was a mapping that was mapping emotions, was mapping sounds of the city, so we built a layer besides mapping stakeholders. And this is very important as you also get knowledge on how the city is working. Yesterday, we were doing this activity with some of you guys that are here in the Institute Goethe, and we started mapping the Bangkok innovation ecosystem for a urban media campaign. So maps are representations, and what is not in the map does not exist. So they are a power tool that represent power. It's very important to make the mapping with the people who's affected by the problems. So we ensure that everyone that needs to be put in the map, it is. We have been doing maps and mapping in the collaboratory in the metropolitan area of Barcelona. And now we are collaborating with the mapping of the community of innovation in Catalonia. But why? In Europe, now we are having problems with the central state of Spain, that we are not getting all the resources, Catalonia, that we need as a region. So we need to define this ecosystem so we can approach for funding in Europe. So from our taxes, Europe get money, and we want it back to our region. So we are making a strategy, and mapping the ecosystem is a tool for demonstrating somehow that these small organizations can raise as much economical move and impact as, for example, the motor industry in Catalonia. So mapping is not just for fun. It's for making relations and for getting resources. There are many maps, you can find many mappings now, and I want to talk about the map of labs, living labs. And from them, when we identify where those stakeholders, where those organizations that we want to work with, where are they, we need to know how and why they would work with us. So their motivations are their barriers to collaborate with us, to define our strategy. I want to think with you in a fast way a little bit on cities. And we have been hearing a lot of utopic and dystopic terms on cities. Like sometimes cities are built like technology in cities is going to save us, and sometimes they are going to control us and make us slaves, and we are going to be dominated by them. We have seen also this term of democratic cities. In Spain, we have these participatory and democratic cities, and participatory budgets are a way in which you can extend democracy. And we are doing it in Barcelona, in Cornellà, in many cities in Spain, which is important. Citizens can decide where to spend the money. But they are not working so as well as they should, because we need citizens to know how to innovate and make proposals and to be active in the public life. We also see like mega cities here. I think Bangkok is one for me. It's so big. I couldn't see the whole city when I arrived, and I feel it's a huge metropolitan area too. So cities are growing so much, we know that. And we are thinking also, we are working on this creative city. Here we have some pictures of the past week. We celebrated a creative event where all the creative organizations of Cornellà, we went to the street and we opened activities with citizens. So we allow amateurs and participants, people from the street, to become like the musicians, the photographers, like the artists for a day. We also know about green cities, and we also need this of safe cities. Sometimes we are like paranoid. This picture, there is a double security check in the window, so nobody can get in. And cameras. And the smart city, which is also in the middle of this utopia dystopia. And sentient cities. So data, we have these smartphones in our pockets, and everything is connected with information systems that are producing so much data of our behaviors and what we do when we buy, when we go to the tube, when we speak with our friends. Like everything is like data. So cities are becoming these like data providers somehow. And we also need like this idea of reclaiming the human city, like the cities for people, no? It's not the buildings make the city, but the citizens make the city. And we need like happy cities. Sometimes the city is like silly, not smart. No traffic jams. You feel that the city is so silly, the traffic is so silly and not smart. So we need to understand our ecosystem, so there we find the problems that we want to address. And that's where heart comes. And I mean building relations, building community. And I like to think in the transmedia city concept, because from transmedia, from the media field where I've been working and teaching for so long, I learned many things that I think are relevant on building relations. It has to do with engagement and this new way in which people want to be related to media, want to be active, engage, want to co-create. Users generate content. They don't want just to look. They want to be part. They want possibilities to be creative too. And we have all those concepts that transmedia needs, like spreading, seriality, like it's more addressed to people, opening walls. So we are not just thinking like in the city like one story, but a world of stories. And how we do start to build a relation. We invite people. We try to connect with them. If you don't invite people, they don't come. For sure, it's the first thing that they need to feel that they are welcome, that you are open to work with them. But not just citizens, it's for everybody, for every stakeholder that you need in your project. And this engagement process goes from when people knows you until growing and deepening this relation. And also the engagement in the public field. You have different methods and different formats. There are many in which you can do that. From informing to empowerment. Because in the end, the story goes on opening spaces to Give part of your power to another one. If we think that connected we can do more, we give some power away because together we're going to have much, much more power. And we need to go to build it from what moves us. And this is what we need to know from the people that we invite. Because each time that you are asking for an exchange, it's a lot of energy involved. So you have to give so you can get back. That's how relations are built. They should be fair. Because if not, you're exploiting your ecosystem, not activating it. So this is a key thing that I learned. For example, I think it's very illuminating for me, this guide from Robert Pratten, which is a professional in the transmedia, and he has done applications in startup on transmedia. But this idea that from the beginning we smile and we think that we can do things together until we really build trust and we can be engaged. So each time is more and more energy. And then with the need of building this communities that can innovate through time. Building a community needs time. So the third H is the hands-on. Because you can identify stakeholders, you build the relations for something, doing something together. And here for us, the labs is so important. There are Fab Labs, Maker Spaces, Media Labs, Hack Labs, Living Labs, and City Labs. Many labs. We have a wall of labs. I said the city, the net, the lab. Why a lab? To do things together, to co-create with technology, creative technologies and skills, new skills that we need for the society, the knowledge society that we are living in. And this living lab way, the iteration of the processes, we don't do things good the first time, but we can learn through iteration, and we master things through iteration. We can prototype and test and reflect and again and again. And we need to do it in an agile way. So each step, if we break something, it's not so important. So if we iterate, and iterate is not to do one thing one time. It means many times. And we need to think on these different levels, because if the process of the co-creation process is you need to provide spaces, different spaces for different energies, for people who is involved in different levels at different moments. So you need to think strategically. You need to plan the experiences. As a designer, you become a designer. Science and design is so important for the internet culture. And we need those technologies that lower the barriers so people can use them. Arduino did it. They started with helping to students in the university, but now there is a worldwide movement of makers. And artists are not enough connected with them, and should, because it's possible and it's fun and easy. You can think, computational thinking, you can build objects. Kids can do it with tools like BeetleBlocks or Scratch. We have the 3D printing to tinker, to prototype. And with the Arduino, we can make physical computing things. We can make devices that actuate. We can make interactive urban media campaigns. We also have new technologies like Internet of Things, which has to do with communication of objects. And those can be used with tools like the previous ones that kids from 7 years old can use them. That's our work in the City Lab. If the tool does not exist, we tinker it so it can be used by citizens. With open data, with wearables, with media, of course, locative media, streaming, urban media. Some pictures from Marseille, from our Future Diversities project, from Berlin, how important is to think in the city as a transmedia space where the screens can be used to explain stories, to disseminate messages that are important, like these ones that were from the refugees in Berlin. I'm also my T-shirt was made by them, says, I'm here. So today I'm here. I'm very happy to be here. I'm present here. But their message was to say, I'm here in Berlin now. How important it is. Like from opening spaces for people to have a voice, to open spaces to co-create. We need technical skills. But technical skills, we need to make it fun. Because many people don't go to study engineer because they think that it's too difficult and it's too abstract and disconnected from the problems of the reality. And shouldn't be, because it's possible to do it in another way. It's possible to be connected with the environment that affect you and to do things and build things that you care about. And you can do contests, you can do jams, and you can do clubs. But the important thing is to provide and give away some power. So, like, I want to end my presentation with this small group of people, because sometimes small groups of people are so important. And they are for us, these are the new artisans group who has inspired us in the City Lab so much. They are regular citizens, and they build this like reproduction of a smart cities. And this was used to teach kids what a smart city is, because we believe that we need smart citizens, so the cities are not stupid and they don't control us, and we are not programmed, but we can create and we can build the cities to our own size, a human size, so cities are more human. And I think that urban media can also be part of this, and that's why I think I'm here, and Susan and Tanya thought that this presentation could be useful for you somehow. So now I think that maybe you have a little bit of better idea of what a citizen laboratory is and why it's important. And maybe one day you claim to that, because maybe you can have one here in Bangkok. Why don't you open here a citizen laboratory? So you can tackle the problems that you have in your city in a creative way, with the participation of the experts, the companies, the government, but also with the people, the communities who are affected by the problems. And thank you very much. That's all.